Well, obviously happy about the win. I think our guys have got to make sure they're approaching the game of basketball the right way. I thought from the very beginning they thought they were just going to come out here and win just because they're a Division I basketball team and Harrisville was not. So I thought we got out to a bad start because of our approach. I thought in that first 8 to 10 minutes they beat us a lot on hustle plays, a lot of loose balls, a lot of offensive rebounds, and we just didn't have the right approach. Then I thought there in the last like 8 to 10 minutes of the basketball game, we started to get a lead. Same thing, we got happy with the fact that we were up 15 points, 20 points. And so what we did is we didn't defend. And so, I told our team after the game, it's not going to be every single day we go out and score 94 points. And so we got to make sure we got the right approach to the game of basketball. That's by starting off by respecting our opponent. And then I think the second part of it is once we got a big that we can't live through our offense, we've got to be much better defensively. I think they shot like 56% from the field. They beat us with points in the paint. So if we want to be quality ball clubs, we've got to make sure we understand that. And the thing that we got to make sure I'm cognizant of is we don't necessarily have a young team, but we have a very inexperienced team. There's only been about 2 guys that's playing Division I college basketball that's ever been in that situation before with Antonius and Hoopy. So we got to make sure we learn from this and then move on.
Okay. And you mentioned kind of the last 8 minutes of the first half, kind of pick things up a little bit. What did you say to him in that timeout right before that stretch? Were you able to, you guys were able to get some steals and get some transition baskets? What was the message at that point?
Well, the first thing we did was we changed our defense. We went from our 2-3 zone to our 1-3-1. And our 1-3-1 is a much more aggressive zone, and it's all about, getting deflections, being in passing lanes, and hopefully knocking some balls loose and making people make fast decisions so we can get out in transition. So we were able to turn some of our defense into offense. But I think the second part of it was that we got to all of those loose balls and those 50-50 balls, in that last, 10 minutes of the basketball game. So I emphasized that part of it, but I don't think there's anything much different that I said in the timeout than we normally talk about.
Okay. Eric McGill, scored 15 points, played pretty well tonight. What do you think of his performance, and do you feel like he's kind of, getting used to being in the role that he's in at this point?
Well, I think the thing about Eric that's so refreshing is that he's just a basketball player. I don't think he's defined as being a point guard or defined as being a 2 guard. And I think he has a great deal of patience and understanding of the game of basketball for a guy that's a freshman. Really what we're asking him to do is unfair. Be the starting point guard, play 35 minutes a game, and go out there and make plays for people. So I just think that he's mature beyond his age, and I think that's the biggest thing is for him, is that which makes him such a good player right now.
Obviously, Jamal, you mentioned this after your win the other night, that having him back makes this a different team, but what did you think of his performance? Obviously, he seems comfortable out there, knocked down some shots, and how does he affect the rest of this bunch?
Well, I think, he's a guy that can spread the defense for us because his ability to make shots. And I know he hadn't made any previous to this game right here, but anybody that's watched a young man play, he can shoot the basketball, he can make free throws for us. But what I like about him is he's got just an unbelievable personality on the court, in the locker room. So, him being that way is infectious for us. I think he can be a guy that we can kind of rally around. I think he's going to be he has some natural leadership tendency. So I just like having him on the court. But, I don't think it's fair for us to go out there and play, Hoopy and Eric and those guys like 35 minutes a game because how hard we want them to play, it's almost impossible to do that. So he gives us a reason to get those guys off the court because we feel confident about him coming in and being able to make plays.
What else would you have liked to see this team do better today?
Well, just defend. You can't give a team like 56% from the field. So that, and like I said before, just our approach. We can't live vicariously through our offense because I think we're getting it. We're starting to figure out our motion offense, and I think people are starting to see guys that have some versatility. It's almost impossible if Antonius does the right things to guard him in the offense because he may be posting on the block, he may be shooting the jump shot, he may be driving the basketball. So if he cuts hard and our guys do a good job of finding him because of his length and athleticism and his skill set, it's hard for him to be guarded. So even a guy like Tony Anderson, he can make a shot, he can drive the basketball. So we're starting to figure out our own strengths individually in our motion offense, but we got to do a much better job on the defensive end.
Obviously start conference play. How do you feel about that? And it's kind of a clean slate for this team. Is that how you feel?
Everybody's 0-0 coming in. Unfortunately, the OVC is a one-bid league. And so it doesn't matter what you did in the non-conference at this point in time. If you're a team that's undefeated and you end up finishing 9th in the OVC, that's what people will remember. If you're a team that didn't have any wins in the non-conference and you end up finishing 3rd in the OVC, that's what people will remember. So we've got to make sure we start positioning ourselves to have the best seed possible to go into the OVC tournament, and that's what we got to look forward to.